Hello everybody. So as you can see, I decided to play out the tutorial game that I just showed and give an example of what that game wound up turning into, just to show that it does work all the way through the game. And also just to comment on a couple of the criticisms I've seen and answer some questions and whatnot. And then finally, since I got all the way to the end, I've done it a few other times, but this will be the time where I kind of go through and break down some of the weirdness of the alpha, maybe possible criticisms. I'm not sure where I am on all that yet. So to give you an idea, I wound up with 950 score and comfortably ahead of the next person while barely trying. I didn't even finish colonizing my main constellation. I could have picked up a lot of tech to grab these, but I just decided I was already running away so badly and I want to test all the weapons and the ship systems because I haven't had time to do that yet. Further, I've noticed some people saying, oh, I can't get enough fleets, I can't get enough fleets. I have a handful of systems here. Half of them are on, well, not half of them, but let's see, 3 of them are on alms for essence, which completely wipes their dust, so those 3 systems aren't making dust at all. And I'm making 2.3k a turn, and I have 167 CP of fleet flying around. So yeah, you should be able to support your fleets into the middle and late game. I never had money problems this game, ever. And again, it's partly because I'm playing on normal. I played the old games on hard or endless or whatever, depending on how frequently I've been playing. I would usually get up to endless. So I do know the basic idea, but, you know, you should not be struggling unless you're on the hardest difficulties. And if you are, it's not a problem, but, like, it means you're probably doing something wrong. Excuse me. Other thing, defending your arc. So it is obnoxious that right now enemies can invade your arc regardless of your fleets. Doesn't matter because what you can do is this will pop up, not this, but it'll be an invasion screen. And rather than worrying about it, what you'll do is you'll click minimize, and then you'll click attack on one of your fleets. So you'll come down and select attack and attack their fleet. If you kill the fleet, you bring the screen back up. You choose, don't choose surrender. I don't know what'll happen. The game might crash. I have no idea. Choose normal battle or infiltrate, doesn't matter, or whatever the 2 options are. Click fight and you'll win, because regardless of what the numbers say on screen, since you've destroyed the fleet, they actually have 0 power. So you can defend your arcs by having a fleet in the system. It's just really unintuitive because the fleet or the invasion screen pops up and says deal with me now, and what you have to do is minimize it, blow them up with your fleet, go back to the invasion screen, and then get rid of it. Now, I don't know if that's supposed to be the way things work, but it's the way things work. So for now, abuse that. Other obnoxious thing, zone of influence, or whatever this is called. Earlier in the game, these guys had a lot more influence, way out to here, and obviously these dudes have just been giant jerks about it. What this means is I had Zinnius, because I took it from them, but it was still within their influence, which for the record seems to take forever to decay. It might be because I have terrible influence output on this empire of 271 versus, what, 2.3k dust. Anyways, what that meant was Zinnius here was being invaded by the Cravers, because the Cravers are jerks and that's what they do. So of course I sent a fleet over to blow them up, and I couldn't because I was at a truce with them. So because of the truce, I couldn't attack the Cravers because that would be attacking in their territory, but the Cravers don't give a damn because they're at war with them and with me, so they can invade me. Doesn't seem quite right. I don't know if that's a known issue or whatnot, but the fact that that's the way that it is probably needs to be fixed, because that could be really, really frustrating in the late game. That said, there's a part of me, you know, being someone who likes to play things competitively, that thinks it's interesting that I could, you know, say ally with a warmonger in a PvP game, go influence spread, and make sure my influence is all over the territories he wants to attack, and then not go to war with his targets and make sure he can attack safely. I don't know if that's desirable, though, because it's a little weird that it works that way. Anyways, just to give you an idea of what my planets are doing at the end of the game, by the way, this is my best system by far because I have a level 18 governor, but you can see my output's ridiculous, and I can build any ship in my fleet except my very best in 1 turn and my very best in 2 turns. So let's go into ships and weaponry, because there's a lot of good and bad there that's been kind of confusing for me, and I just want to, I guess, put thoughts out there on it so that, you know, at least the devs kind of are aware. Here's the biggest ship. Looks pretty. instead of making noise. As you can see, I researched all the weapon technology and all the other stuff. It's very bare bones right now. There's no support modules. The defenses are literally just shields and armor, and then the weapons are just variations of the 4 kinds. Now, I'm hoping we finally get some differentiation between the weapons, because as it stands right now, they're just, basically you have your short and long range weapon, your short and medium range weapon, your medium and long range weapon, and then you have your missiles and your close range weapon. So missiles being long only and lasers being close only. What's frustrating about this is missiles seem to have a unique mechanic, as far as I can tell, where even though I have these missiles, if I literally just made this a missile boat, or just made it, say, that for offense, so 1 missile, I don't think I could kill a Kraver 6-stack, just because they would shoot down all the missiles. Now, I don't think that's because of anything here. I think it's because basic kinetic modules, your machine guns basically, will shoot down missiles and actually act as flak, which is a cool interaction, because it means, well, I don't just need to throw defensive modules on my ship. I can counter your alpha striking all missile ships by just putting on a ton of defensive modules, surviving the initial blast, because I'll have not only armor plating, but all my machine guns shooting it down at long range, and then blow you up when we get to mid and close range, where you're not even firing your weapons because I'm too close, theoretically. Now, I don't know if that's why that's happening or not, but it's interesting. However, outside of that, there's basically no difference between the weapons. There's an interesting difference at Era 2, where they did kind of what they did before, where you'll notice like these plasma beams, which are the medium and long range, or sorry, these are the short range beams. Is this a good example? Yes, it is. Perfect. They only come in the titanium variant. The Hyperion variant is the medium and long range version. You cannot get upgraded close weapons here, and unfortunately, using Hyperium or energy or titanium, it doesn't have any of the effects that they did in Endless Legend. So, for those who didn't play, titanium usually gave you more health, and Hyperium, or glass steel as it was called then, usually gave you initiative. Now, it was poorly balanced, and you almost always wanted max glass steel because initiative was god, at least early on. But it was a neat idea, and not seeing that come back worries me a little. Again, it's an alpha, they might add it, but I'm hoping that's the case, because right now all they do is basically this is just as strong as the Era 3 version, which will pop up any moment. There we go. So 14 and 10, 14 and 10 versus, where's my Era 1s? Do I have an Era 1? I don't. Yeah, you get the idea. Well, actually, the other thing is they all seem to do the same damage. So 14 and 5 is weaker than 19 and 5, but is the same as 19 and 5, is the same as, where's the other one? Not those. 14 and 10. Okay, I lied. I guess I looked at the wrong thing. There's some oddness with the weaponry, but the main final thing is you've got these multiplier slots. So these are not normal weapon slots. You can see by the circles down here that these are ×4 slots. So whatever module you put in here, you get 4 of. So if I put a laser in here, darn, I wish this one had a normal slot. Does it? It does not. We'll talk about this in a moment. It's going to do plus 36 damage a second and plus 10% critical hit chance. And it's more expensive because it's symmetrical, which doesn't seem to matter yet, but I think will in the late game. I'm hoping that's the case. Now then, if I put it on this thing, well, this is not a normal weapon slot. This is a heavy mount. And once we throw a weapon in here, we find out that it does plus 48 and isn't symmetrical. So I don't know how it decides this. In fact, it says it's 2 times the cost because it's symmetrical, but it has exactly the same industry listed. And let me check if that's true. That just seems to be a tooltip error because it does seem to do the math right up here, but it doesn't really show it there. So either way, weapons don't seem to be different enough. At least as far as I can tell. I mean, they look cool because, hey, let's throw, you know, a smorgasbord of pretty colored weapons, and, you know, when it fires, it'll look really pretty. But beyond that, they don't seem to have much of a difference. Finally, and I think this is somewhat important, if you, well, basically, if you put support modules in here, it's extremely hard to tell, or even defense modules, that they're doing anything. I think I've figured it out, and let's see here. You can kind of see for health and defense cost, so 18, or let's see, 528, drop that, drop one of these. Yeah, okay, so you gotta look there. But these are do anything modules, and it's not really conveyed well that this is multiplying the effect. So again, this is not one, oh, my cat's playing with things. This is not one leecher, this is 4 leechers. This is not one, you know, absorptive shielding module. I don't know why this is so good, by the way. It's actually 4, but it doesn't really show that well. And further, not having a cosmetic on the ship is kind of lame. So I don't know, if they could do something for that, that would help. We're not gonna wait. Yeah, I just noticed this. Yeah, I guess there's some bonus effect things they're gonna have. We're gonna get out of him. I have 2 other ships here. These are my Era 2 ships. However, this is the Era 3 version of them. Just like how your Era 1 ships get upgraded when they go to Era 2, your Era 3 ships do as well. They get extra weapon spaces, and it does kind of show off some neat stuff of the system, because, for example, if I were to edit this ship... Alright, noises are done. I can take all this off, but you'll notice I can only put those kinds of lasers on it. This will not take kinetics, it will not take missiles, it will not take close-range lasers. It will only take, I don't know, the medium-long lasers. I need words for these. Blasters is what I'm going to call them. Lasers can be the close-range ones. So these blasters are the only thing this ship can take, which means if you see these in the enemy fleet, you can strategize around that. Unlike, say, just being able to do anything like my max ship can in all those slots. However, it doesn't tell you that anywhere as far as I can tell. So yeah, it says it's an empty ship slot, it says it's a weapon module, it says it's symmetrical, but it doesn't say, no, this is lasers only, because that would definitely change my research path if I was worried about my enemies running too many shields. Likewise, if we load up the other one, noises. I really have to mess with the audio more. You'll see that it's got blasters and missiles, but no lasers or machine guns. And they have everything for defense and everything for supports. Now, I think this is good, because it means that ships really have a purpose. You want kinetic defenses? Well, you need to bring your Era 1 ships, because these are the only things that can run machine guns on this in this race. You want lots of lasers? All right, this thing's a literal laser boat, or this thing. Sorry, yes, this thing. You want something spread? Well, that's why this exists. But it needs to be better clarified. Now, finally, the odd thing, when I built my super ship there, I, of course, immediately went out to test it on the Craver fleet. So I sent it and 1 missile ship to go fight my enemy. Let's pull this up. Imagine this was 6 Cravers, and we just had 2 ships here. I didn't really look at this. I just went in here and figured out which one had the most compatibility. It was this setup. And what happened was, my long-range ship was here. So it fired missiles, which were mostly shot down, and then got in close range and couldn't fight. My super ship at the time was almost all kinetics, because I just wanted to test some things. And it took this path, and was almost never in range to do anything. I killed maybe 1 or 2 Craver ships out of their standard 6 stock... or 6 stack of, you know, trash. And then I split the fleets and just did a 1 fight, my new super ship versus their 6 ships, and completely destroyed them. So you can tell that's happening. These 2 larger ships here, that would be the Era 2 ships, and these small triangles are the Era 1 ships, but it's not super obvious, especially if it splits them like, say, this. Now, I don't know until I hover over it which one's which. And that's a little bit frustrating, given that the previous screen actually is better for quickly assessing which battle plan goes where. Because this is supposed to be the detail screen. Oh, these are those things I can test out versus other strategies and figure out what I want to do. But none of that matters if I really want to be on this screen. So, again, kind of a obnoxious issue. It is interesting to me that if you don't handle your fleet right, even though you have good-looking numbers, you won't actually win, and it was apparently so bad that in a massively overwhelming victory for me, or what should have been, became, you know, literally one of my ships soloed their fleet. Somehow I didn't even win. We got a draw. I destroyed 1 of their ships, or I got a minor victory, actually. So fleets definitely matter, but I think this is going to have to convey better and might need a little bit more customization because it is a little frustrating that that even happened in the first place. Or maybe it's something I didn't understand and messed up. So I think that's most of it. Really not much else to say. Again, if you want to play these guys, I've got 10 arcs, by the way, and I could have easily had many, many more. I'm getting 738 dust now, and I'm not even leeching with half my fleet. I was pulling in over 1,000 a turn at its highest, and I just decided I didn't want more arcs, and that's the only reason I don't have, 20 of them. Well, maybe not 20, but at least 17, because I just decided I was done expanding and didn't want to micro it. Although they still handle micro well. So, yeah. Make sure you build leecher ships in the early game, find a victim, and leech them. If you don't find a victim, leech somebody, or don't worry about it because it means you've got some space to start out, and focus on your infrastructure. Once you find someone, you should have a few leecher ships already built up, though, so you can send them immediately, like 2 fleets worth if it's really long, and catch up on your, what is it called? Essence harvesting. Abathur should be a hero. So, yeah, once you catch up, you'll be fine, because once you get that first arc, it's more powerful than anything you're going to run into. And when you finally get them really rolling, you can just wipe people out. And if you... the other thing that was mentioned a lot is, you had you could get 3 systems right at the start. Again, that's really not why this... or rather, that is why this one went so well, but I've done many other builds where I didn't get that sort of start, and I literally in Arrow 1 didn't get any of this tech until I got my first arc and knew I could expand to a system where I could get these bonuses, and I instead went for these. Because the industry boost still lets you put out ships fast. You're basically trading your industry for industry and dust and basically other stuff. This is better if you get lucky because it means you'll have more research and more dust, but this still works because you have enough dust at the beginning of the game, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You don't need a perfect start like I had. So yeah, again, more rambling. This was definitely not as smooth as I would have liked. I still really love the game, and I don't know, I hope they continue to make it better.